Hi everyone, Jack Allen Willard here. About a week ago, I rushed into the studio, same time in the early morning hours as it is now, to do a video entitled Is Bob Joyce Elvis's Son? And I got a pretty strong reaction, even from my most loyal viewers. Everybody said, no, he's not. I learned a lesson from that video, which is coming down very, very soon as I speak to you this morning, 1:30 in the morning as I do this on Sunday. Make sure if you're going to jump out of a plane, you have your chute together. Glenn Campbell said that. And it's so true. I made the biggest blunder of my time with you here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned. I had the math wrong. I said that Elvis was 18 when he was in the army in Germany, and of course that isn't true. He was 23. So the idea that it would work perfectly if Bob Joyce was 69, 70 years old, as many profess that he is, that it would work perfectly that Bob could be his son. If Elvis got some woman pregnant in Germany, could Bob Joyce be the son of Elvis? And your opinion is definitely no. So the lesson I learned is make sure that the math works. Make sure that you really spend a lot of time researching the idea, thinking about the idea. It was a bigger mistake than the time I proclaimed that Jeannie C. Riley was dead when she's not. Jeannie C. Riley, the Harper Valley PTA lady that said from the stage that Elvis was very much alive, and she knows people that talk to him all the time. So I apologize for that error. I apologize for getting the math wrong. I wanted to put out the possibility that he could be the son of Elvis. Of course, there are those that said, no, Bob is Jesse, would be the same age, right? The twin. And of course, they never give any proof. And there's been a lot of that going on in the comments section. Talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, it was embarrassing. I regret the era. I regret the era. I don't want to go out like that. We are winding down this topic here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned. If there's something big to report, we'll come on and do it. But I am not going to have weekly commentaries on the ministry of Pastor Bob Joyce. I want him to be pastor as long as the Lord leads him and strengthens him to do it. I think he is an absolutely wonderful man. And many, many people think we're crazy to proclaim that Bob Joyce may be Elvis. I've always said that I could be wrong about that he may not be. But it has been an amazing few weeks here with our Bob Joyce videos. The verdict has caught on fire, which we did like 6 months ago. The response, I guess it must have something to do with the death of Lisa Marie Presley and the fact that the verdict is positioned in the mix high up on the list. And YouTube, they suggest videos. They suggest that one. It's in the up next feature that they have, so people have a chance to see it if they want to. And usually when I look at a Bob Joyce video, even one of the ones that's brought me quite a few hits, I'll look at the analytics, and it talks about the viewership in the last 48 hours, and maybe I'll see something like 342 new viewers, watched at least a piece of the video that I'm looking at. So I look at the the viewers for the verdict in the last 48 hours, and I see 8,395 views, and the total watch hours is over 5,000. So some people are really checking it out, not just watching a minute and a half, 2 minutes of it. And we have now over 2,000 new subscribers. About 4 days ago, I was just breaking 1,500. Nose always itches during the videos. I don't know why that is. So that's phenomenal for me. It's nothing like the people that do the Bob Joyce Elvis videos and do slick editing and put up lots of pictures and things like that. They always get more hits, and we're about to begin a school of editing here. My tech guy, Dandy Andy, we're looking for the right program, the most simple program for a 66-year-old guy that is a technical dodo, that being me. But so if you have any suggestions about a free, that's a good word, free editing program that's simple, please put it in the comment sections or email me, jackthefairguy@gmail.com. Now, we're not going to make this video too long. I'm going to conclude the video with something you're going to want to hear. Trust me on this. I'm not doing clickbait here, but Michael Stein, a musician from London, England, wrote me a wonderful letter, and he says I can share it, and we're going to close the video. It talks about Bob. It talks about his CDs. It talks about his sermon of 1/15/23. The name of this video is Elvis with Bob Joyce? Question mark. Song service 1/15/23 reaction. That's the name of this video. And the Bob Joyce, it is Bob Joyce Elvis Son video is coming down very, very soon as I record this. As I said, I'm going to read some of your questions and comments, but let's talk about the music service right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Pastor Bob is at the piano. Now, in the last video when we talked about his two new albums, his two new studio albums, I made the comment that I think that Bob has the ability to turn off the Elvis voice, and he does that in some of the songs on his new studio album. Not so much the Christmas album, but the other one. My Life Shall Not Be Lived in Vain, something like that. I'm trying to remember the title of the album. But during the song service, how can I put this? I feel like it's almost one of those old sing-alongs that Elvis did with his friends at Graceland late at night. They would sometimes do gospel songs, There's video up of that right here on YouTube and other places. And so the only thing is that the Elvis I'm hearing, to me, this is what it sounds like, is an older Elvis who has, of course, an older voice, but he can still bring it. He can still bring it. If he were just singing the song and not worrying about playing the piano, I think the vocals on the songs that he sang at the Sunday service from 1/15/23 would be really powerful. But it's tough to do both things at once. He starts off, and I bet you they do this most Sundays, right? We have come into this house to worship him. And it's just really, really lively, and he's giving it all he can. Then the old classic hymn, There's Victory in Jesus. Sang that so many times when I was a deacon over at Howell's Church in Howells, New York, with Pastor Steve. One of my favorites, the greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. Oh, I've sang that song, yes. Knowing the face of Jesus, knowing the King of Kings. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. What a day that will be, my Jesus, when my Jesus I will see, and I look into his face. That's unfathomable to me. It's unfathomable. Um, Hold my hand all the way. Now, before he closes out the service with the traveling song, he's now. Keep in mind, there are a million songs he could have chose. A million songs, but he chose to sing along with the worship team, 4 people. He's got a drummer who looks like he could be in ZZ Top. He chose to sing When No One Stands Alone out of a million plus songs. Who knows how many songs, gospel songs, there is to choose from, the exact number, right? But he chose When No One Stands Alone, and that is one of the songs that Lisa Marie Presley uh, released as a duet with her father. It starts off, you can see it right here on YouTube. The official music video is what you want, where it's all Elvis singing that song. And then in comes Lisa in the recording studio. You see her and you hear her beautiful voice singing with her father and then on her own as well. And viewers like Christine, who gave me an email, and others, some in the comment section, pointed that out, that he chose that very song that's up on all the platforms to sing that song during that 28-minute praise service that we see last Sunday, as I record this, the 15th of January, just a few days after the untimely death of Lisa Marie Presley at 54. He gave it all he had in that song. He gave it all he had. He did look sad. He did look sorrowful. He did look sorrowful. So if we were doing another rendition of the 21 Coincidences Why Bob Joyce May Be Elvis, we'd have to go to 22 there, because that's an incredible addition to the list. That's an incredible addition to the list. And that's all I got to say about that. As far as Gump would say, that's all I got to say about that. And I enjoyed and was totally blessed by the music service. The music service. Now, going to get to some of your comments and questions, and this brief letter from Michael Stein from England, a musician from London, England, is coming up, and it's worth the price of admission. It's worth the price of admission. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe, share it, so that other people can see it. We are still very much a growing channel, but it has been growing a lot lately. People love The Verdict, the 21 Coincidences Why Bob Joyce May Be Elvis. But you know, I have a lot of other videos on a lot of other topics, from low ejection fraction for people that have some form of heart failure. I want to do more on that. I have the Carlton Pearson videos. I have the One Mofo Rule. If you would ask me what do I feel is the most underrated video here, I would say the One Mofo Rule, because it's a funny thing that happens. I was out there doing my walk today, because I have cardiomyopathy. And I was out there doing my walk, and just as I'm coming down this very steep incline that I'm walking up as briskly as I can. I did stop for a little bit, make sure I was okay, and then continued on, and I was coming down. And no one comes on that street, but just at that time, here comes a guy who's going to pretty much run the stop sign and come in my path. He wasn't that close to me. But I thought, what are the odds of that? That's the One Mofo rule. Check that video out and share your One Mofo experiences right here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned. If you type in the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned, you'll see all our videos. We don't just speak about Pastor Bob Joyce. We're winding down the topic, and we're going to keep it at just, maybe some breaking news, for example, something like that. There are people that don't want me to take the videos down. I've been getting a lot of that. We'll talk about that. Frank Casey, I'll mention your letter or your comment in the one of the videos. It's getting hard to keep track. And we'll talk about criticisms too and what have you. We'll answer the critics. We'll answer the critics. Now, what was I going to do? Going to talk about some of the people that have responded. It is getting to the point where it's taking me like 45 minutes to an hour to comment on the various things people are putting up. I don't always comment, but there are times when I want to, and I want to. When the comments are kind, I certainly want to thank you for that. But it's becoming quite a few comments because we have, them coming from different videos. By the way, in terms of the music service, there's a thing called fair use in broadcasting when you're doing a podcast or whether you're doing a YouTube video or whatever it may be. And if you use snippets of copyrighted material, it usually it would be approved under the fair use doctrine, we'll call it. Okay, YouTube would usually allow that if there was a copyright challenge, they would usually side with fair use if you're using just a snippet or two. Pastor Mike Winger, there's several videos on Pastor Mike Winger, the former hockey star that is now a YouTube preacher. He's from Calvary Chapel, and his videos do very well, on some deep theological topics. Sometimes he gets 79,000 views, Sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. But he did a couple of videos on Joel Osteen. What he did is he played a Joel sermon and he kept stopping it and would basically explain to the audience why he felt, although he believes Joel is a brother in Christ, that he's in error in his preaching. And this went on, showing most of the video that Joel did, most of the sermon from Lakewood Church. They claim copyright. They said he used too much. Then they said, well, we'll let you keep it, but we want the money from it. And they copyrighted him. So he had to decide whether he was going to fight it legally or what have you, and he decided not to. He ended up using a drawing of Joel Osteen and speaking for him. That's in one of his videos that's up. But I don't use church video. When we go on to do videos that you will see, not on Bob Joyce, but on other, mostly, I don't think it would ever be on Bob Joyce, but if I do a video on a particular subject, I can roll in footage from CNN and Fox News or what have you, and that would be covered under fair use. As you probably know, Fox News always plays CNN clips, and CNN always plays Fox News clips, If it thinks that benefits their left-wing agenda for CNN. All right, let's get to some of your comments, and then we're going to read that brilliant letter from Michael Stein. And the name of our video, Elvis with Bob Joyce, question mark, song service from 1:15:23, the reaction to that. And now we also will talk about your comments, criticisms, and what have you. All right. I just want to say I appreciate you, and I thank you for being with me. Gunner Nation says, I think there's a chance that Bob could be Elvis if people only knew about the real power of herbs and nutrients, along with being great anti-aging materials. Yeah. What God supplied on this earth is the best medicine. I'm not knocking prescription drugs. I'm on them too. I'm on a beta blocker. But I also take my turmeric, the curcumin gummies from QAnon, and not QAnon. And I take CoQ10 because I'm on a statin, and they say that your statin levels can be diminished. It can take out your CoQ10, and I'm not even sure what that is, but it's not good to lose it. And garlic and things like that, very, very important. They say curcumin can be a real cancer fighter, so there's many, many benefits from that. Get your blood work done so you can see how these things are working in your system, especially if you're on prescription medication, all right? Or if you have issues with your kidneys and what have you, you want to know what your creatinine level is. Mike Parr, hi, Mike Parr, had a really nice email from him, and also he commented. Let me put on the the $1.25 Dollar Tree magnifiers, because these new glasses I have, they may look cool, but they don't work right. I guess I didn't, when you're with the optometrist and she's saying, does this look better or does that look better? And she's going back and forth with the slides. I may have messed up this time. I may have messed up. Mike Parr, I'm not going to delve into why I know for sure that Bob is really Elvis. My response in the comment section was, oh, please delve, please delve. And he did write me an email. I can't cover all of this in this particular video because it'll be an hour, and I don't want to do that. And I certainly want you to hang around for that Michael Stein letter. But thank you, Mike, and we'll be talking more about what you have to say. Russell Mann says he's a disabled grandfather, and I've been listening to Elvis all my life. He used to sing and dance and imitate Elvis at parties. I'm glad you're out there, Russell. C. Sutran, the fact that Matt Joyce's middle name was Charo, I hear this all the time as a telltale. Charo was Elvis's last film and his favorite role, he says. He also comments that Bob has a guitar that is a perfect match to one of his movies. I think you're talking about the Blue Hawaii movie. And as I have said in the early videos, the Bob Joyce Elvis factor is not up right now. I know I refer to it there. Maybe it will reappear. But I know the people that bought that guitar for him that have been to the church. Someone said, all the videos are decades old. That's why Bob looks young. All the videos are decades old. And, you're just missing the whole point. No, it started, it seems, around 2011 when he was preaching at a church that had a stone wall, a bunch of stones behind him. Then came Household of Faith in the Strip Mall in Benton, Arkansas. And then a few years ago, they built the new sanctuary in Benton. And They have services. I know plenty of people that go to these services and they tell me about them and what have you. And the idea that these videos are from 25, 30 years ago is nonsense. It's total nonsense. Moby Dick is out there. I even have whales that watch, and I'm very appreciative. Yeah, talking about that gold jacket, that we have commented on in uh, early videos, and he can't talk because he's in the witness protection program. Well, if Bob Joyce were Elvis, and these are just possibilities, he's long left the witness protection program, because by 2011, see, the witness protection program would not be cool with you saying, I'm going to preach the word of God in a small church, and John Cook is going to load these videos on YouTube for all the world to see. No, the witness protection program would not be on board with that. I believe it would, if what we surmise is true, that would be around the time Bob, if not sooner, Bob left the witness protection program and went on to regular bodyguards once again. Many people say they feel there are bodyguards at Household of Faith. They're very sweet and what have you, but when we told this story in another video, when one of them approached one of these bodyguards and said, asked the question, what does it feel like to protect Elvis? And the gentleman said that he was talking to, and this was related to me, I think in an email. I think it was an email. The bodyguard, if that's what he was, said, it's pretty cool. And then this look of horror came on his face, and he realized what he said. And it wasn't long before she saw the man who said that being escorted out of the building. From what I'm told, folks, I'm going to give you a warning here. The sanctuary of Household of Faith is for the worshiping of God. And even if later on in the foyer, they don't have a coffee and cake hour, no cheese bun, no coffee. I know they have luncheons sometimes, and we've told stories about that. But you will be able to meet the pastor and take a picture and what have you. It's not cool to mention Elvis in any way, shape, or form. You start talking about Elvis in the church, you're asked to leave. That's what I was told. I wouldn't do it in a million years. As Pastor Bob Joyce said, if you're coming here for any other reason but to worship the Lord, you're coming for the wrong reason. He has a heart to win souls, feed souls for Jesus Christ. He's 100% sincere, and I believe it's 100% God ordained. All right. Adam Davidson, my friend from Houston, Texas. Pray for Adam Davidson, all my prayer warriors out there, because he's had some health issues in the body. Pray for total healing for him, because he's gone through a lot. We just lift him up, Lord Jesus, and I remember him in my prayers. I'm asking you to remember him as well. He says, great work, great voice for radio and TV. Well, yeah, okay voice. People have told me that over my radio career since 1977, that magic year again. But it's not $1 million voice. The voiceover voice, I don't have the James Earl Jones voice, for example. There was an actor who was on the Lou Grant show. Remember the spinoff, named Mason Adams? And he sounded like everybody's grandfather. And he did the Smuckers commercials. With a name like Smuckers, it's got to be good. just had a very reassuring set of pipes. And this was before they had, the capabilities that they have today where people would have home studios and maybe you could even have a portable studio you could bring with you or find one when you're on vacation. And they needed a 30-second spot for Smuckers. And he's on vacation in another country. They got a jet. They flew him out to Los Angeles. He recorded the 30-second Smuckers spot. I think they paid him something like $200,000 and flew him back to his vacation. There are just these magical voices. We have them here in the Hudson Valley. There's a gentleman named Van Ritchie, who used to be the voice of the Golf Channel, and he's made a ton of money doing voiceovers. So I appreciate, though, people say that, and I really do. Thank you. Frank Casey from England, please don't stop the Bob Joyce videos. It's amazing for me in England. Great broadcasting voice. Thank you, Frank. I just want to, I want to narrow it down. I appreciate that people enjoy these and that seem to keep finding a new audience and what have you. But I love Pastor Bob. I want him to continue doing what he is doing. I know the Holy Spirit is in charge, and this topic, this subject has been relatively contained for 13 years, which might be a minor miracle. It might be a minor miracle, but there comes a time when it's time to move on, and I don't. I'll pray about what you're saying. Other people are telling me that too, but I don't want to do weekly commentaries and what have you. I don't want them to feel that I am in any way trying to do anything. But people that mention the Bob Joyce topic and people that do videos like this, or the people that put up all the montages, and then there's all the Facebook groups on Bob Joyce, is Bob Joyce Elvis, Bob Joyce is Elvis, and everything else. They have played a major role in hundreds of thousands of people seeing the pastor from Benton, Arkansas. It's true. I'm not in any of those groups, and what happens here is some people pop on like this is one of those groups on Facebook. They don't watch any of the videos. They're saying things that I've already covered 100 times, and they're just popping on, and they're saying the same thing over and over about the age, the DNA, and what have you. We're going to cover DNA. And I get the feeling that that's all they're doing when they make disparaging comments about the pastor or the people that are commenting here. You're gone, you're blocked. It's just not something that we're going to entertain here. This is not one of those Facebook groups. There are groups out there. If you want to say the people that believe this could be a possibility or believe it is, are stupid, are nuts, are idiots. There are groups out there for you, but it's not this one. The people here, I have some great viewers who believe what they believe very sincerely, and so this is not the place for making fun of other people's comments. I have a little fun sometimes with a little humor when somebody tells me that Bob Joyce is a cousin of Trump, and then you get into the multi-conspiracy people. I'll say this right now. I was surprised by the amount of people that started saying that Lisa Marie faked her death. I asked in the comments section that you not do that. We're talking about a woman who has left us not that long ago, and it takes away from the credibility of the Bob Joyce topic when you post a video and you say Lisa Marie faked her death, and John F. Kennedy Jr. as well, and what have you. You don't come off well, and I think it diminishes what I think is a very valid topic, because as I've said, either Bob Joyce is Elvis or he is a replica. God created a replica of Elvis, a near replica. You could make that argument, or he could be his son. But you have definitely let me know there's no possibility of that. So I just wanted to put that out there on the record. But I messed up in the process, you know. I messed up in the process. Angela Gilliam, totally agree with the verdict. Our hottest video here. David Bagley, if you remember Elvis, you recognize him. Plain and simple comment. If you remember Elvis, you recognize him when you see him preaching from the pulpit. Flo. Oh, thank you, Flo. A lot of nice interaction with Flo. I have watched the service, both the music, the praise and worship, and the sermon 3 times. I think he did have a heavy heart and was self-controlled when ministering, and she made reference to the song that he chose to sing, which was the duet that is on YouTube, official music video, Lisa Marie singing with her father, Elvis Presley. Coincidence, that is, you know. What do you do with that? What do you do with that if we're going to be honest? And there's no way that Pastor Bob Joyce would take something like that and do it because he's, you know, like the Beatles put things indicating that Paul was dead. And yes, I have a video up about that. Maybe I'll talk about it before we close out, why I put that video up. But yeah, it's just amazing. It is beyond a coincidence, isn't it? Debbie Inglis, I believe Bob is Elvis. Great video. A lot of people say that, look, Bob is not Elvis anymore. His privacy should be respected. He's a new creature in Christ. Leave the guy alone. I do get a considerable amount of that. And as I've said before, putting your videos up on YouTube for all the world to see means that you knew what was coming. You knew there was going to be an incredible reaction. And that's what you got. And that's why in the sanctuary every Sunday at Household of Faith, people come from all over the place. Different countries. Some of them bear gifts, as we've said before. But if Bob Joyce were to do a video call with me on Facebook, and so I know who I'm talking to for sure, and asked me to take the videos down, I would. The DNA thing is coming up a whole lot. You know, people just pop on. I don't think they've watched the videos, and they just say, "Well, DNA would settle it all. Why isn't there a DNA test?" Well, for one thing, Bob Joyce is not a prison inmate, so they can't force his DNA from them. Then you have to get the Elvis DNA to match it up. If we are right in what we say as a possibility that in 1977, Elvis Presley went into the witness protection program, went to another country to go into a long rehab and be totally renewed, you know, mind, body, spirit. That was for a reason. Well, one of the reasons may have been that he gave sensitive testimony to the FBI. So when people say, you can't fake your death, it's against the law, I don't know how to respond to this. No, if you're in the witness protection program, they take care of it all. Many people would feel he became John Burroughs and he flew to someplace like Argentina where he was for a long time. People say he would never abandon Lisa Marie. What do you mean abandon? He went to get well and then came back and was with her. That would be what would have happened. He didn't abandon her except for the time that he was getting well. Getting rid of the addiction to injectable pain medication, legal pain medication, losing the weight, just whatever was needed to be done, because I do believe certainly that he was very near death in 1977. Do I believe Elvis Presley died in August of 77? No. Somebody commented about the sweating wax dummy in the coffin. Yes, people noticed that Elvis was sweating in the coffin. Corpses don't sweat, but wax does in the Memphis sun. So, younger Elvis, thinner Elvis in the coffin. Someone said, "Oh well, I know the guy who embalmed Elvis in '77. Give me the proof." You know, people say these wild things, including talking about Lisa Marie faking her death, which is kind of repugnant to me, to be honest. And they don't give a shred of evidence to back that up. It just seems like the wrong thing to do. You've heard of the old saying that it's too soon to be saying that, and I think it's way too soon. And I don't think that it's true. I don't think that it's true. And when people just have wild conspiracy theories here on the in the comment section, it diminishes what we're trying to do here, which is cover a story that, even if Bob is not Elvis, is still one of the greatest lifetime stories, because here's a man that is so much like him in every way. He's not hiding the Elvis when he's in the music service at all. In fact, when after he sings that song that Lisa Marie put up and sang along with him in the official music video, he does that shaking. Whoa, he does the Elvis shake, and then he sings a reprise of that very song where no one stands alone. It's a key moment. It's a key moment. So, did I talk about my friend Joseph Kelly? He says, after watching the 1:15:23 sermon, I'm more than convinced. You could tell he was choked up at times. Yeah, I see that. And he notes that Bob said, when a loved one dies, you are not alone. Several people, more than several, commented on that. Positive stuff from Randy in North Carolina, who said, come on, Jack, you know who he is. He's not the son. You know that. All right, Randy, all right. You put me in my place. And Dave Mitchell, always supportive, but he didn't agree with my son theory either. But I did put that out there just as a possibility, and then I messed up with some math, and I'm truly sorry for that. I'm truly sorry. I think I've gotten to most of the comments. Hello, Kathleen, very supportive. Christine, who emailed me with some pictures. I can't get to everything in this video because I don't want it to go too long. But the two Bob Joyce theory. Okay, I've been talking about this since the Elvis Factor in 2018. I may put that video back up for a short time. That there would have to be two Bob Joyces. Robert Wayne Joyce and Bob Joyce, to me, could not possibly be the same man. All right, let's see here. I did have a Google photo of this, but here's young Robert Wayne Joyce, who married Willena Joyce in Texas, okay, and would be, yes, about 69, is it? 69 years old. There he is right there. Okay, and I know we've done this before, but I really want you to look at that face. Of course, that's not a young Elvis Presley there, right? We can all agree on that. Yeah. There he is. And I had other photos, and maybe in the Elvis Factor I have some other photos. And then we have this picture of the current pastor of Household of Faith with Willena. The young man I just showed you with the beard, I don't believe, in my personal opinion, transformed into looking like Elvis Presley. he looked a little like Elvis as he grew older. And if you watch The Verdict, you will see the pictures of who may be the older Robert Wayne Joyce. But I don't believe when you look at that man there and how much he looks like Elvis Presley with Willena Hattie, who became Willena Joyce, I don't believe when he was young he looked like that. So now, the young man that I'm showing you, I know that Jose, who deals with the scars, the veins, the teeth, the eyes, and all that, he thought, well, that's the biological father of Matt Joyce and the two daughters. You know, that was his theory. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I believe in the two Bob Joyce theory, the two Bob Joyce theory. Someone said that Glenn Hardin plays in the worship band at the church, the great Glenn Hardin, who uh, played piano for Elvis during many of the concerts, the live concerts. He wrote Count Me In for Gary Lewis and the Playboys. He wrote for John Denver and many others. Good looking man. He would not wear bib overalls. He's rich. You know what I'm saying? Has he been to Household of Faith? A lot of people think he may have been, but a lot of people seem to confuse him. I think the name is Joe Murphy, who plays bass, who looks a little like him, So there is that. But then I think this is still up on YouTube, a video of Glenn Hardin singing a song, playing the piano, and there's someone doing the vocals who sounds very much like, well, let's say Bob Joyce, because it's from a few years back in a foreign country, I believe, and it sounds like Bob. Uh, but the camera stays on Glenn Hardin, and then at the end it starts to sway towards the other side where the singer would be, and the video stops. So there you go. Now the letter that I promised you, which I didn't use the copy machine, so I'm reading it directly from the screen, and I think this was worth the wait. You can always pause, and come back. But we talked about the studio album, not so much the Christmas album. I listened to a few of the tracks, but his latest studio album, talking about my life shall not be lived in vain, and that some of the song choices, what I said was that I think there would have been some better songs. I mean, some of the songs he sings during praise, like the ones he sang today, I'd like to hear him sing those. They could be on some of his previous studio albums, though. So there is that. I don't know those well. But Michael wrote a wonderful letter, and I'm going to read that to you now. It's not too long, but he's a musician from London, and this is what he says. Dear Jack, I'm a musician from London, and I've been a big fan of Elvis since around 1971. For a number of years, I have closely studied the Bob Joyce story, and it is my firm belief that yes, he once was Elvis Presley. There are way too many similarities facing us in plain sight. Okay. Apart from the usual list of similarities, there are other traits that I have noticed. For example, Elvis quite often swapped his mic between his left hand and right hand. Bob Joyce holds a mic in an identical manner to Elvis. I've noticed the way Bob Joyce plays guitar. His right hand action is again identical to Elvis. I agree, his most recent albums are a shade below the previous two CDs. The vocals are drier without as much reverb, but the radio edit track is astonishing and very Elvis, but on other tracks he sounds breathless on occasion, and this is an example of his vocals deteriorating compared to the previous albums. His vocal range has diminished and lacks the power of old, and is further evidence to me that we are listening to an 88-year-old. Let's not forget Tony Bennett, who was singing at that age, and there are still examples throughout the new CDs of typical Elvis phrasing, and the arrangements and backing vocals are very stylistically typical of Elvis from the mid-60s. Talking about the new studio album. Regarding his sermon from Sunday the 15th, I felt the theme was about Jesus always being there for you, and at 53 minutes in, the room was silent as he mentioned recent loss, death, and grief. My interpretation was that in the moment he did look upset, but had comfort from Jesus, and then moved on quickly as not to dwell on his recent loss. I believe Bob Joyce did acknowledge his recent loss, but in a very subtle way. I felt very moved by it. And finally, it is also said Bob Joyce doesn't appear to be 88 years old. I see signs of cosmetic facial surgery. It is believed that Elvis had some in 1977, something to do with the nose in 77, I believe, which may make his eyes appear closer than they used to, but it's an illusion. That's what Jose says. And he may well have have had a further tuck or two since. And as you mentioned, Dick Van Dyke looks remarkable at 97, and William Shatner is in his 90s, and he does look great. Anyway, Jack, I hope my contribution to this fascinating debate has been useful. Best regards, Michael from London. Thank you so much. We had a nice interaction back and forth, and I thought that was great. I think that if you watch the sermon from last Sunday, as I record this, who knows when you're watching, the 15th, there is evidence that Bob is having a little breathing issue as he's preaching at times, you know. Seems to calm down a little bit as the sermon goes on. He probably just got up and came to the pulpit, but he does seem to have a little bit of a breathing issue. And I'm sure he's, got a cardiologist, and they are keeping watch over him, keeping watch over him. I have cardiomyopathy. A lot of people do. I have a mild case of it. But there aren't always a lot of symptoms. Swelling in the ankles is definitely a symptom that can happen with cardiomyopathy. I don't have that. I don't have much of anything. I just wore a heart monitor for like a week and mailed it back in. So we'll see what that says. But, there are people that feel that they can't retire because when they do, within weeks, they will pass away. My lady, the woman in my life, Karen, who lives on the other side of the building. This is a duplex that we live in. She has a physician who's 76. And I can't believe he's not older than that, because he's been in the city forever. He was my mother's doctor, and she passed away in 2002, and he looked older then. He wears a wig and everything like that, He retired for 2 weeks and then decided it wasn't for him and came right back into the practice. And he works like 4 days a week. He doesn't go to the hospital anymore, I don't think. But he has his patients, and he's a legend in this city. Very thorough, very nice man. His name is Dr. Rametta, just a wonderful, wonderful man. And a lot of people feel that, no, I'm not going to retire. My ex-radio boss, also a legend, and I'm not exaggerating, Cousin Bruce Morrow, is 87 years old, and he's on WABC, as of this recording, every Saturday night from 6 to 10 p.m. And he'll have somebody on from that era And he'll say, "Can you believe that we're still doing this at this age? Can you believe we're still doing it?" So some people just have great genes. Now, people would say, "Well, the Elvis Presley genes weren't good. You know, Vernon died fairly young, and what have you, and his mom as well." But there's also the new medicines, the new therapies, and if Joyce turned out to be a former superstar of the past, he would have access to the very best of everything. People were talking to me about, is it med beds? I'm going to look into it. I haven't done it yet. This is something that I think you lay in. I think they may even cover you, and it's a rejuvenation system. And people are wondering if he did that, So there's all kinds of theories out there. You're welcome to comment. I would ask that you don't do the conspiracy theories on other people, on other people. I don't consider what we're doing a conspiracy theory. I just think we're telling an amazing story that's been going on for many years. Many others have commented on it. And if Bob Joyce turns out not to be Elvis, it is still the most amazing story in my lifetime, other than the greatest story ever told. But Bob Joyce is an ordained man doing exactly what God has called him to do, blessing many, many people. My personal email is jackthefairguy, F-A-I-R, jackthefairguy at gmail.com. We're winding this topic down. But I do appreciate all your enthusiasm. I'll pray about keeping maybe a shred of stuff up. But there are many other topics that we want to get to, and I'm hoping that in this year the Lord will allow me to go to those other topics, and that we'll start showing some video. It's time to learn to edit properly. It'll be simple stuff. I'm not going to have montages and stuff like that, but we'll get better. That's my goal. That's my goal. We're working towards it. Big God bless you. Bye bye.